This is the first in a series of videos that I'm making in order to introduce you to the types of symmetry that wallpaper patterns might have. In this particular video, we're going to look at translations and mirrors, or as I like to call them, flips. Let's get started by looking at a very basic wallpaper pattern. A wallpaper pattern is a symmetrical pattern that repeats in at least two directions. With these R's, we can see that we've got easy translational symmetry that goes in this kind of fashion. If we start here and go to there, all of these R's will go to the next page, and all of these R's will go to the next column, and all of these R's will go to the next column, and so forth. We also have another basic translation that would start here and go down to the next row. So we can take the top row into the next row, which would force this row into this row, and so forth. So every wallpaper pattern is going to have at least two translation directions, and that's worth writing down. So wallpaper patterns have at least two directions of translational symmetry. Just like the strip patterns, we use these little arrows to indicate how long the translation is. All wallpaper patterns, as I said, will have translational symmetry. Many wallpaper patterns will have more than just translations. The next kind of symmetry that a wallpaper pattern might have is mirror or reflection or flip symmetry. And I'm just going to call it flip symmetry because flip is easier to write. If you look at these sets of R's, it's very clear that we have a set of vertical mirrors. We can easily look at mirrors going down like this. There's a mirror between that set of R's. There's a mirror between this set of R's. There's a mirror between this set of R's. Between every two columns, halfway between the two columns, there's a mirror. I'm not going to worry too much about the actual spacing because you know what I mean. Now, we have noticed that in the strip patterns that the vertical mirrors sometimes fall into one family and sometimes they fall into two families. The same thing happens with wallpaper patterns. If I look at a symmetry, and if I look at a mirror and I look at the translation is not going to go from here to here. It's going to have to go all the way to there. And so this mirror here is going to get moved to this mirror. And there's no way of taking this mirror into this one. So what I have is two distinct families of mirrors. So let me select these mirrors in turn, and we will notice that what we've got are mirrors that are between the forward-facing R's and the backwards R's, and mirrors that are between the backward ones and the forward ones. You can think of it as mirrors between the back side of the R's and the front side of the R's. If I look at it properly, this is what they look like. And so in this particular wallpaper pattern, we have two sets of vertical mirrors, one in blue and one in yellow. Well, unlike strip patterns, strip patterns can have one horizontal mirror. Wallpaper patterns and vertical mirrors. Wallpaper patterns can have mirrors in both directions. And in this particular wallpaper pattern, we have mirrors in both the vertical and horizontal direction. If you stop the video and look at the pattern, you should be able to see that. The base translation in the vertical direction The base translation in the vertical direction has to take an upwards R into an upwards R, so it would have length that is equal to that. The base translation in the horizontal direction has to go that far. And we will need those when we start thinking about how the mirrors are also going to work. Well, we have vertical mirrors that look like this. Between every column, there's clearly vertical mirrors. Oops, let's get rid of that one and make it look more vertical. And, well, I might as well finish them off. And again, what I want to notice is that if I translate one of these mirrors vertically, it just lands on itself. But if I do the horizontal translation, this mirror here is not going to land here. This mirror is actually going to land all the way on that one. So again, we have two sets of mirrors. We have the mirrors that are between the, let's see, we have the mirrors, I'm going to have to do one at a time. We have the mirrors that are between the top row of R's that are back to back, and we have a family of mirrors that are front to front on that first row. So let me turn this one blue and turn this one blue. And so what I notice is that the mirrors alternate, and the blue mirrors are translations of each other, the yellow mirrors are translations of each other. But what we should also notice with this pattern is that there are vertical ones. If we look at lines that are halfway between the rows of the R's, these will also be mirrors. And again, what I want to notice is that they're going to fall into two families under the translations. If I look at a translation, there's no way that this particular top mirror can go to this one because the translation has to take this top R into the next top R. It can't go into that one. So what that means is that this particular one is in a different family. Well, the same thing happens, oh, let's change it to that color. The same thing happens to all of the ones that are like this line. So this particular one and this mirror down here are also in that second family. So we have two families of horizontal mirrors and two families of vertical mirrors. If we draw them more nicely, we can see that. And here I've drawn all four of the mirrors in different shades. Now, something interesting happens when we start looking at the intersections of these mirror points. I'm going to focus in on this one right here, and I'm going to just call it a red one right now. If I look at this, what I want to notice is that this is a half-turn rotocenter. This particular R under a half-turn will land on this one, and this particular R here will land on this one. And that's actually going to be true of every kind of intersection point that looks like these. These are all the same kind of half-turn rotocenter point. And this one would go to this one under translation because that top row goes to here. And it goes to that one under a translation because this backwards R would go to this backwards R. But it turns out that if we start looking at it, every single intersection point of these mirror lines is going to be a half turn. If I focus it on this one, this point will go to here and this point will go to here. And there's no way that I can take a red rotocenter into this green one under the translation. So those are really all I have. And it doesn't work with the half turns either. If I do a half turn about that, this guy's going to land over there. And if I do a half turn about this, this guy is going to land over there. I also get two families of rotocenters on the other family of horizontal lines, one for each of the vertical lines. So this particular wallpaper pattern, because it has both vertical mirrors and horizontal mirrors, also has a whole bunch of rotocenters of order 2. And here's a picture that puts everything together. If we happen to have both vertical mirrors and horizontal mirrors in a wallpaper pattern, we will get 4 families of half-turn rotocenters, and they will be at the intersections of the mirrors. That's the end of the first video.